Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, January 22nd, 4:33 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we're still in an uptrend. And if we look at the trend gauge over here, market leaders, we are in grow mode right now with the green arrow there. A lot of good action. You could say some are getting a little bit short-term extended, and we'll take a look at some of those later. Short term, we're above the 21 EMA, which is a good sign. Medium term, the Qs and the S&P are trading above. Still some relative weakness in small caps. And then long term, we remain above the 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Well, S&P challenged all-time highs. Tech was leading as well on the heels of Netflix earnings. And then we saw some relative weakness in small and mid caps today. Here are the final numbers. 21 over 21 list up 0.81%, 14 green, 1 neutral, 5 red. Big 8 up 2.47%. Netflix up almost 10%, helping there. RG8 up 0.28%. And then you can see relative weakness in RSP as well, down 0.35%. Mid caps down 0.44. Russell 2000 down 0.66. 60/40 stock and bond up 0.13%. And in-house GROTECTION up 0.52%. Alrighty. Start with the inter-asset correlation chart with the S&P 500. So, kind of day six up into this 60, 99, 6100 level. So, I imagine a lot of people think this, but it would be totally normal to consolidate a little bit here. Or we've seen the market get into lockout rallies, but super powerful move off the 100-day. And, could start to see the market might be a little bit tired up here and could use a little bit of a rest. We'll see into the end of the week. RSP, this one's acting well. Got that thrust back above the 50-day. Now would love to see this build a higher low and build a handle out here. The Q is strong today, breaking out of this flag, coming in 539. That's previous all-time high here on the left. But again, little short term, you could argue a little bit extended, but again, hasn't even broke out. So I can see the side for both cases. But either way, could see this blast through 539, or this kind of handles out and builds a little higher low. Mag 7 coming out of this flag here really nicely. Netflix kicked off big tech earnings. Others are to come in the coming weeks. Dow Jones, strong move again today, building again above the 50-day. Now, let's see these moving averages kind of turn up and slope higher. Mid caps pulling back a little bit today, down 0.43%, but very normal action after 6-7 days off the 200-day moving average. And that setup we were talking about is this failed bear flag breakdown played out pretty perfectly. Russell 2000 relative weakness rejecting this 20 or coming in back into this 2300, but putting rejecting that 50-day today and reversing lower, down 0.61%. ARC relative strength here again, breaking out of this flag, looks good. 63.44 is probably the next level, which is this previous high. FFTY, good representation of leaders acting pretty well as well here. Super strong move up 32.24. That's the next, that's the previous high. VIX up a little bit today, but still living below 16, and that's what you want to see for the bulls. The dollar reversing again today, but kind of breaking this steeper uptrend line that's been off this bottom here. So as long as it's living below that, I think that's a good sign. Harsh move down yesterday, bouncing back up into the mid-range of yesterday's candle. So we'll see what it has in store the rest of the week. Gold really strong here. Next level is this 257.71. But this is really coming out of this little base here. And a lot of the gold mining stocks have a really nice weekly setup. So definitely a sector that's starting to get more love and showing some RS here, as you can see, relative strength lines building higher lows. and showing it's starting to show some RS versus the market. Gold stocks coming back up as well into the 100-day. Silver, see if it can follow gold here. Got a trend line here from the highs. Still kind of in no man's land, but I like how it's building higher lows here, coming against this downtrend line, and see if it can wedge pop here. Bitcoin, just a tight inside day, continues to act really well. See what it does if it can take out these recent highs at 61.75 or maybe handles out here. Bonds, down 0.21%, kind of in no man's land. TLT, similar thing. Got that pop off the bottom down here and see if it can build a higher low and move higher. But a lot of overhead, a lot of moving averages sloping down. So that's always an issue. And with bonds lower, rates up, you can see finding support at the 21. Same here thing. Continue to monitor these. That's the interesting correlation. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Alrighty. Yeah, news, Netflix earnings reaction was the big one. Kind of quiet for the rest of the week in terms of earnings. Donald J. Trump inauguration the other day. So, seeing some of these executive orders, spending bills, all this, these affect the market. So just following the news there and we've seen some big moves off announcements, specifically ARM, Oracle, names like that. Keys in today, S&P versus 6020 holding, closing back above, and then we rejected that 6100. So see if we can blast through all-time highs. Q's breaking out of that flag, still below all-time highs. 10-year and the dollar coming back up a little bit, but finally starting to cool off. So would love to see these come lower, and then leaders acting pretty good. Day count up 6 in a row, 5 days above the 8, 5 days above the 21. Sectors wise, natural gas was strong today. Uranium, that sector has been pretty quiet for a while, and last 2 days has been getting some volume. So that's kind of back on the radar. CCJ is a good name to keep an eye on. Tech was strong, semiconductors, weakness, oil, utilities, energy, real estate, Bitcoin, regional banks, all showing some weakness today. In-house, we bought NVIDIA, added to Nugget and Bros, and then we had an offensive trim in EQT, which is one of the leaders in natural gas right now. KMI reports tomorrow in the sector, and that's been just hovering around the 4 ATR above the 21 day. So short term, pretty extended, had a nice gain and took some trims there. RVAB is 1.5, 6.08% open heat. Bottom line, S&P closes right below all-time highs with tech leading and small and mid caps lagging. All right, let's get into some charts of interest. All right, we'll go over. So I showed the GDX chart. I'll show EQT. You can see just, kind of tap that 4 ATR today and kind of reversed and closed lows of the day. We took a trim here, and from this is seen a just really nice trend up, pretty extended from the 21 day, like I mentioned, 4 ATR. So locking some gains in there. NVIDIA kind of regaining leadership, wedge pop back above all the moving averages, clearing this 140 level. If this one gets into gear, I think that's going to be really good for the market, especially semiconductors. But many of the other semiconductors are already acting quite well. But really good to see, NVIDIA is arguably just the liquid leader, or not on a relative basis anymore, but just the liquid name, AI name to watch. And if NVIDIA is going to do well, you'd imagine the market's going to do well as well. And then Nugget we added there with gold stocks coming back up. We also own GLD in the portfolio as well, which I covered in the inter-asset correlation. Alrighty, Bros. This one, best name in the retail restaurants group. And just undercut and reclaim that previous day's low. So added there this weekly. It looks fantastic and a good thing for group participation. Take a look at Kava. Probably a spot that institutions started buying here was the earnings day low and the 200 day. And this is starting to curl back up. Got that 50 days overhead above here, but zoom out to the weekly, held the 40 week, and it had that 3 weeks tight. And Something I've learned is that 3 weeks tight at the low end of the base can sometimes be a sign that institutions are accumulating. I've learned that. I believe I got that from uh, How to Make Money in Stocks, but nevertheless, this is popping back up. So keep an eye on this one. The story hasn't changed, just the price. It's going through a period of basing, but good to see this, especially just for the group as a whole. All right, we'll take a look at 21 over 21 list. NBIS. Good action here, all-time high close, and this is coming out of a base on base pattern here. So see if this one can continue. Definitely a whippy volatile stock. It's got a pretty wide ATR, but good action there. CLS, heavy volume today, closing low of the day. This could be kind of a short-term exhaustion candle. This to me looked like an ascending base that it broke out of. Super strong fall through, short-term extended, but this is arguably one of the strongest stocks in the market. So if this one starts to pull back, touches the 8, or just bases a little bit, that could provide an opportunity. VRT, relative strength line, new high coming out, closing above that 145.67 pivot. And this one's super, super strong. Obviously, it's been in kind of basing for a while. It went through this long base down here, and you can see the move. So now you got a similar base down here starting to break out of, and this one definitely a leader in the data center space. CEG, another power generation name, doing really well. Another new all-time high close and continues to build after this gap here. GEV, so this one had earnings today. Initially gapped down. They missed on EPS, but this one got bought up and it closed mid-range of the day up 2.67%. This one's just been a fantastic trender. And so, hitting that profit zone. So a little bit short term extended here, but good reaction on earnings. Zoom out to the weekly. When you see a stock with like 9 weeks up in a row, it's usually a telltale sign that it wants higher. You got that secondary base, and now it's coming out higher. So continue to monitor this. Hopefully, want to see it give away those earnings gains. Marvell, this is another leader in the semiconductors, coming against this 126.15 level. Looks good. Ralph Lauren, retail name, breaking out of the space. Looks good as well. Cyber, acting well, coming out of this short little flag, continues to move. Um, VST, this one's another utility name that's just super strong, and another just continues to build after breaking out through that 168 pivot. GLD covered that. Decker's another nice one in the retail theme. It's hasn't been giving a ton of outperformance, but when this one starts to go, it can be a nice one. Obviously, it started with this earnings gap back here, and then once it broke through this 163, had a nice move, and now it looks like it's shaping up a continuation setup. Hood, another one, really good action, kind of short term extended, like 6 days up since that breakout, right at that 50 psychological level. But this one's kind of standing out as the name to own for crypto exposure, and then just their whole broker business and their new Robinhood legend, all that stuff. Rose covered this one. Avgo, another one. Still building after this earnings gap back here. Hasn't done a whole lot, but to me, it's acting pretty normal, just kind of consolidating, and see if it can take out this 250 spot on volume. Covered that. MTZ, this one, another one, broke out through 150. Outside reversal candle today, but nevertheless still looks pretty good. Twilio, this one looks pretty actionable if this can break out through this base. Just really good, strong action. Doing exactly what you'd want it to do. After this earnings gap, it was pretty extended. So now you're getting that base building period, building higher lows in here. This one looks good if it wants to break out. If you look at some of the software stocks, they obviously had strong runs near the end of last year, and then they've been forming pretty constructive bases here. A-Lab sitting right at the 50-day. See if it can, pop back through, sitting on this support zone as well. Just looks to be basing as well. Tesla, tight inside day on super low volume, not doing anything wrong. It's been a little bit choppy, but still holding above this 400 level, holding above the 21, and a tight inside day and low volume. Nothing really wrong with that. Reddit kind of retesting the top of the space after trying to break out yesterday. Still, this one still looks really good. They had a downgrade this morning, and that's, I think, partly due is why it was down today, down to about 2.5%. But this one's still acting well, and as long as it doesn't give back in, but all the way back into the space, I think it's acting pretty good. Um, so that's the 21 over 21 list, and I think that is all I got for today. So that is going to wrap it. Always like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. You can find me on X at ConnorJBates_, or you can always reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. If you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. And with that, I will wrap it for Wednesday, January 22nd. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great evening.